could you reasonably expect him to give up his chairmanship just because he's not the chairman of the holding company? So why appoint him in the first case? So I think that's where we've created an issue, and that is precisely the learning that we have, which is that if you have a decentralized environment, which is so unique in the Tata Group, then why really sort of impress upon the operating companies a chairman who's also a chairman of the main holding company? In many cases I've seen, and this goes back to the time of Mr. Ratan Tata and Krishna Kumar, where Mr. Krishna Kumar was the chairman and Mr. Ratan Tata was the vice chairman of a very large company. I think it was Tata Tea. So I think that in itself sets an example. So when we create something, it becomes very difficult to destroy it. And going forward, I think there's a clear lesson to be learned out here, which is that the chairman as such, and interestingly, the definition of the chairman has not been provided either in the previous Companies Act or the New Companies Act. But there are references to what the chairman should be doing in the New Companies Act. And I think if one follows them strictly, then this should not really be a matter of ego, because ultimately the management is driving the organization. The chairman is overseeing certain aspects in relation to the board, who by themselves have been put together by the shareholders to provide an oversight function over the functioning of the management.
Mr. Singhvi, if I could come to you next. When Cyrus appeals to the shareholders to vote with their conscience, do you think it will have any effect on the institutional and other minority shareholders as well?
I think at the end of the day, Abhinav, each individual shareholder and institutional shareholders will look into it, that what were the reasons for Cyrus to have been removed. I've been saying time and again on this, that what is the reason that Tata Sons has really not removed him from the board of Tata Sons by seeking the shareholders' approval to be removed from the listed company board. So if the holding company board, he still continues to be there, but operating company has been asked to go, or Tata Sons is seeking the favor or support from the minority shareholders and institutional shareholders, they haven't felt out any reason that why they continued to be on the board of Tata Sons. In fact, in Tata Industries, they removed him, but they have not yet removed him from Tata Sons. So I find this whole narrative very, very difficult. So I think most shareholders will take a view and take a call on the subject, that it is really in their interest to keep Cyrus Mistry on the board or not to keep Cyrus Mistry on the board. In any case, one person out of 12 or 13 or 15 numbers, if he's only going to be a director, is not going to be detrimental to the health of that company or for Tata Sons. So I think I find both sides being unreasonable on this issue. So one among 12 is can't be really working on having a partisan board. If people are talking about that board will become partisan because either they're inside of Cyrus or not on side of Cyrus. When Cyrus was chairperson of that company, I could have understood this. But being just one director on the board of, with the board comprising of 12, 15 directors, one person does not matter much. But at the end of the day, if you look at his indirect shareholding, being 18% shareholder of Tata Sons, in a company like even TCS, his indirect shareholding is about 12, 13%. So for him to go out of a company in which his family indirectly holds 12, 13% also has some implications of that. So I think when we are talking about a number, as Sandeep has been saying, that it's ultimately a question of numbers. So ultimately the numbers will count. Numbers will count in those cases where Tata Sons holding is just about 20-25%. I think some shareholders may stand up for Cyrus, institutions may stand up for Cyrus on those issues because they didn't have any problem with him. If Tata Sons has a problem, Tata Sons has already outlined the problem on that they want him to be seen to be out. Now, whether LIC toes that line, other institutions toe that line, that is to be seen.
Hitesh, why do you think Tatas are taking so long to remove Cyrus Mistry from the board of Tata Sons? Because it's where Tata Trusts have an absolute majority. I mean, why is it that it's only in the operating companies that Cyrus Mistry is getting pushed out from?
Well, that can be seen as a part of the overall strategy. I mean, there is no brainer that ultimately they would like him to get out of Tata Sons board also. But it's a matter of time how they would like to achieve that. So idea is that operating companies are the real companies that are taking decisions on the ground. And if you would have noticed when the statements of Cyrus Mistry came, I mean, Cyrus Mistry was the first person who went out in the public and that statement started to hurt Tatas the most. So when he started raising issues on different